Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips. Get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit GearHandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
Boobies.
Hi.
Hello, and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we're here to talk to you about
Vampires.
more vampires. Yes. And this time a vampire killer.
The Slayer. The Daywalker.
The Daywalker. Blade.
Blade. A 1998 film adaptation of the Marvel comic vampire slaying superhero.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Stephen Norrington.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And starring Wesley Snipes.
Chris Christopherson, which sounds like the most made up name on the face of the planet.
It really does. It sounds like a Disney character.
It does, yeah. Like just something like if I was a child and was like trying to make up my own name for something, I would be like Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, it does give that. Is looking at a table and a salad bowl and being like, table, salad bowl.
That's my name. Yeah.
That's my name. Got it.
We've got Stephen Dorff and Nebuchadnezzar, right?
That's
I looked up how to pronounce it because I was like, I have no. I was going to say Nebush, but I think it's Nebuchadnezzar.
Mm-hmm.
It said it had an A at the end.
I think because the E like makes like the Beyonce.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. But it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know.
English is weird, y'all.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's weird. But yeah, a movie that really I remember watching this when I was younger and like having like a lasting cool factor impact on me. Like I just always thought like, well, that's a cool movie. Like Blade is cool. Like,
yeah.
Badass. Like
Blade
the music
is
cool.
so badass. Yeah, the music is cool. I wanted to look up who was the. Did you look up who was the?
Who did the sound? Like the
soundtrack.
Nar, but we can definitely get that
because it was a good soundtrack. Like all the while through it, and then there was some parts that reminded me of like the. Well, I guess the Chamber of Secrets, like the Chamber of Secrets theme. I think it was Chamber of Secrets. It might have been one of the later films, but the do 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 do.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it
like
there was
when it's like Tom Riddle's identity is about to be exposed.
Yeah,
and all the time Tom Riddle comes on kind of into it.
Yeah, there was a familiar, there was a like line of a melody that sounded very similar to that, but I assume Chamber of Secrets would have gotten it from Blade. But I mean, obviously it's not the same, but it sounded very similar to me. The whole time I was like, am I watching Harry Potter?
The music was done by Mark Isham. I don't know how to really say his last name, but he oversaw it. But a lot of like different music was obviously pulled for it. And it was heavily inspired by British techno band The Prodigy.
Yeah, there was a lot of techno, like at that first techno club.
Yeah, apparently they wanted this band to do a part of the soundtrack and the score, but due to scheduling conflicts, they weren't able to do that. So that's why it's just like kind of like, I guess, along the same genre music that they make. I don't know.
I see.
But yeah, it was very like, what is that, like Sandstorm?
Sure.
By Darude, that song, Sandstorm. Yeah, you know it.
I probably know it, just don't know the name of it.
It's like do 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 do. I can't. Why I'm like gonna play it on the podcast. So it's just like builds.
Oh yeah,
that one.
That one.
That's the guy, and it's just like yeah, very much that. Yeah, we could like recreate it. I get the bass, you get the synth. But yeah, so I actually just like whenever the movie was when I was younger watching it, I always felt like anytime like I'm in a club actually now, I don't know why, I guess because that stuck with me when I was little and there's like kind of techno music or something. I am always like,
is blood about to
where are the secret
pour
vampires
down from the ceiling? And yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, this movie was another one that I watched a lot as a kid. We had it on DVD or maybe it was cassette tape. I don't know what we had it on. Not cassette tape, VHS. But we had it and I watched it quite a bit. Yeah, we might have probably had it on cassette or VHS because I remember we had a few, like we had Titanic on VHS when it was like split into two VHS. Set. Yeah.
Yes. We're old as fuck. Oh my God. That's funny. Yeah, we had that one too. We had two box sets. I don't know why.
Of Titanic, y'all just really love the movie. It's a great movie.
How I would just start the second one. Because
just watch the end.
Just watch like where I can't quite. It's because it splits. I think whenever they hit the iceberg, right? It's like
I think like so.
Right before they hit the iceberg, and then it splits, and that's where the second one starts. And then it's kind of like the dramatic second part of the movie. I always would just put that in and watch the ending, and then literally let the credits play, so My Heart Will Go On would play, and I would like sing along and dance around the living room. Literally. But yeah. We should we get into it? Should we dive right in?
Right in, like
sink our teeth into it.
Our teeth into it. That's good. The dive right in was more Titanic. This is we are gonna sink our teeth into it. I have a chipped canine.
What happened?
This one. No, this one.
That's that one, yeah. What did you draw?
I don't know.
It's just one day you woke up and it decided to not be there anymore.
Yep. It's flat.
Like my father. I'm just kidding.
I was like, your dad's not.
Not a dad. I love you. And so, yeah, this movie opens up with a flashback. That's a flashback. It's 1967.
Yeah, 1967. We're in a hospital with someone who's been bitten on the neck.
By an animal.
Quote
unquote. Y'all can't see me do the air fingers.
But she is pregnant as well. And they're saying like she's going and having contractions and stuff. So they need to do like an emergency C-section to get this baby out. I don't really understand that whole process, but all of a sudden they needed to. So they did. And then they pulled the baby out and the baby's like crying and she dies, but the baby lives.
presumably. So
Yes.
we think.
I put she dies, I guess.
Yeah.
I was really
The-
confused.
We get like the flat line of her, but like it just kind of cuts away and goes into this white, and then we get
And then we've
we
got
also
her reaching.
reaching, but we also did see her driver's license and all that stuff with
Oh yeah, because it
Mhm.
all spilled out and stuff.
Yeah,
And
kind of gave us some. Was that foreshadowing? Backshadowing? I don't know. Information.
yeah,
Context.
information. Yeah, context. They do this a lot in this film. Like with Karen's name, we don't explicitly get her name, and but
Mhm.
like the first time that we see it, it's on her name tag,
Yeah.
and it says like
Diegesis.
Karen, blah blah blah. And so we get her name that way, and then later on, someone like, or I think it's Whistler reads it like Dr. Karen, blah blah blah. I don't remember her last name.
Oh yeah. And he's like, we got lucky with this one because she's a
Hemologist.
yeah,
Hematologist.
hematologist, something like that. Yeah,
Someone that works
Hemoglobin.
with blood.
Yeah.
But yes,
And so yeah.
we get
end up
some
cutting to
intense
credit-
music.
and
Yeah,
cutting
with
to
the credits.
Title got Blade over like the city stuff, and then more credits, and then we cut to some dude with a chick, and she's leading him to like a surprise.
Yeah, he says, I like surprises, and she was
Mhm.
like, well, you're gonna like this one.
Yeah,
And
he thinks he's gonna get lucky.
but he's not.
Not at all.
He's gonna
Mhm.
get if somebody. So first off, they like are
Yeah.
driving, and they get to this place, and it's like in a meat factory. Like they're going through like all the carcasses just laid out,
Mhm.
or strung up, and they're
That's scary. Like, why would you still be following?
yeah. And you could even tell he was kind of like, ha, 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 what the
This
fuck?
But that's the power of women and the lure and men's stupidity.
The voodoo clam.
They will do anything for the voodoo clam.
Yeah.
They will do anything. Guys will do anything for the voodoo clam.
It's
I
true.
mean,
They will.
Yeah, they're thinking. He was thinking with his
lower head
pocket rocket.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then they get to this back door, and then they start speaking in another language.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said it was like a Slavic language or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up going into this techno club through this meat factory.
Which, and it does give, I mean, there are, pop-up warehouse raves, underground raves that do this or whatever. So, but the meat packing plate, that just gives a bit like, is that even sanitary?
No, yeah,
not at all.
Seems
probably,
gross.
It probably smells. But yeah.
Yeah, probably reeks.
Yeah, there's everybody getting their party on, very much per life, very ravey, and she just kind of leaves him to BH because she's trying to find her other vampire friends, and he just kind of is left to kind of try to follow behind her and get through the crowd of people, so he thinks.
I love how he throws her coat. She hands him her coat, and then he's just like,
what the fuck, whatever. And then he ends up everybody's treating him really badly. They're all being mean to him because they can smell that he's a human.
Yeah,
they can tell.
And these people, like, he's not having a good time for starters because everyone is being so mean to him, and the people look like they're just out of their minds too. Like they like are on so many drugs, it seems like. And he is just getting bumped like left and right by people, and
the dudes are like being mean to him, and the girls want nothing to do with him.
Yeah, he tried to go dance with the girl who brought him there, and the other girl that she was dancing with was like, "Back up, bitch!" and
Mhm.
yeets him. And then that's when he starts getting like, all people start
Pissy.
being more mean to him. Yeah. And then he stands up and he puts his hand out conveniently,
Mhm.
and blood falls onto it. And then he automatically puts the blood in his mouth.
Who does that?
Like why?
Yeah.
But and then all of a sudden it says bloodbath behind the DJ.
Yeah.
And they start just spewing blood from the ceiling, which
That is
honestly was really
pretty cool. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I thought like, oh, I kind of want to go, but like not for real blood, like play blood, like
Play blood, yeah.
water that's colored with the dyes and crap. But it did look
Ketchup.
cool. It did look fun. He obviously was a bit like, oh shit, what the fuck? Because everybody's like putting their hands to this guy and like opening their mouths and like bathing in it all like indulgently.
Yeah.
And he's like looking around and everybody notices that he's not partaking and they all start to look at him like he's their latest snack as they start to kind of push him through.
Yeah. And then so he starts freaking out, obviously.
Mhm.
And then he gets like punched and
Mhm.
kind of they start beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just see these feet that are untouched by the blood and in like these black combat boots and stuff. And then everyone kind of pauses and we hear them whispering, "Oh shit, it's him. It's the Daywalker." Blah, blah, blah. And then Blade just basically starts unleashing hell on them with his fancy
Literally.
gun and knife.
Kills them all.
Yeah, he's just like boo, 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 boo. Stab, stab, stab,
And
stab.
a lot of them have the
stab.
nerve and the audacity to try to like buck up at him too.
Yeah, like the one girl was
Quite a
like,
few.
the one girl who brought him there, she was like, "I'm gonna get you," and then he was like, haha, stabbed through the face or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was
Pretty
like,
badass.
nice. Yeah, the fight scenes were honestly pretty convincing.
He Wesley Snipes really wanted the film to kind of emulate and have it be stylized after like Hong Kong martial art films.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also, is there like a shuffling happening on your end?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I hear a loud shuffling happening.
Oh, hold on.
Do, 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 do. Well, how's everybody doing? I'm pausing while Josh is yelling at the doggies for shuffling around.
Okay, they're good. They
Okay.
were over there. I didn't know you could hear it. Sorry. They were in their little play area over there, and the boys were tussling around. But I didn't know you could hear it. My bad.
Oh, no, it's okay. I just was like, something is happening. But yeah, so anyways, he is being a pretty badass with how his fighting is happening. And he's, got this cool gun that like shoots silver bullets, we find out. And the knife. And I adored his little cheeky smile as he goes to kill them with that boomerang. Once he pulls out that little boomerang thing, he's like, cheese.
That's badass.
And then he just throws it. And it like chops off 3 of their heads. It's like that one movie where they can curve the bullet. What's that called? Wanted, that's right. Yeah.
With Angelina Jolie and James McAvoy. Starring Morgan Freeman. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Was he in that?
I don't remember. I only saw it in theaters.
But yeah.
I'd watch that movie again. It was good.
But on HBO Max.
Oh, I have that. I'll watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he really makes everything look, and this is why I said it was such a cool movie. Wesley Snipes, Blade himself, like he does everything with such a finesse and such a like swagger.
Yeah.
That he knows he's a badass. Like he's killing these vampires like knowingly that he's like, I know I look cool, bitch. Chop, 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 chop. Like
I look awesome.
Like, all in his leather,
Yeah. He looks super dope. And
he definitely don't even need to be wearing that outfit. That's all stylistic choices. Like he's literally wearing all that because he wants to.
I mean, later on, it does help whenever he gets shot with that by the gun. Like the chest piece definitely helps him, but yeah, he doesn't need like the big leather trench and stuff. But I guess it also does protect him from getting bitten by them, maybe. But it is
mysterious.
Yeah, and it gives him it's almost like a cape. You know, he can whoosh it around.
He's a superhero.
He is, and I loved his little yes that he did as well. Right after he like took out, I think it was what's his name? Quinn. That's right.
When he pins him up on the wall.
Quinn against the wall, he goes yes, and that was funny too. I like it.
Yeah, he gets Quinn on the wall, and he's basically kind of talks shit to him for a minute, and then he burns him because he's trying to extract information from him, but he won't give him any information. And I guess apparently too, they have this dynamic where Blade has been trying to kill him for a while, I guess, and Quinn just keeps like respawning.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was like, I'm gonna try flames this time, see if it works.
Yeah, I wonder how many times like he's tried to kill him.
Yeah, and he just keeps regenerating. Well, it doesn't work because the cops show up right in the nick of time, and they're like, put him out. And Blade escapes through the ceiling. And he is like, he's gone, and then basically they take the charred corpse
body
of Quinn. Yeah, what we think is the corpse.
That one human was still there, just like, oh my god, like
please help. Yeah,
for real. I wonder if they then that there. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm like, does he then like? Who do they believe? I guess obviously, right? Like one single man couldn't have done a bloodbath, I guess. But like, does he get charged with anything? Because he was just like found at the scene of a crime. And like, what's believable is going to be like vampires. You know, I think he's crazy. So that poor guy is going to.
And
be like,
as he said, Blade says, or Whistler says something that the police own, or the vampires own the police.
So he's probably going to get killed.
Yeah, he's probably going to get targeted.
I didn't even think about that.
But so regardless of if he got sentenced or not, he's probably dead.
We're going to be turned.
Yeah, exactly. And so they get the corpse of Quinn, the charred corpse of Quinn, into the morgue, and they open the bag, and it's literally still steaming, which was pretty nasty. And Curtis was like, "Oh, that's rank." Yeah, it probably wouldn't have, or maybe it would have like had some smoke that like collected in the bag if it was like that fresh. But I'm like worried that it would also make the bag like go up and
start to like like, or it would like burn a hole through it, and then body stuff would be like leaking through. Like I feel like but anyways, we're thinking too much. Logic police, go away. He ends up there, and we have two morticians. I don't know. They might not be morticians, but they're at the hospital checking out the body there at the morgue. And did we get
this is where we meet Karen, and
she's looking at the blood,
and she's saying that basically it's impossible what she's looking at under her microscope, because the hemoglobin or whatever has like split. It was doubled, basically. And so, and then there was like a lack of something as well. There was like a lack of the ability to produce something else. There was a lot of technical terms thrown around that I didn't write down. So
I don't know if they were even correct.
Yeah. It sounded convincing though. So kudos to the movie. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever you say.
Dr. Karen. Dr. Karen. Anyways.
But yeah, so then they go back. Curtis is like, and it's clear that between the two of them there was some sort of history. Because Curtis is kind of like, they're talking about something that seems like they're kind of talking about the blood, but then at the same time it's like, oh wait, but are they talking about like their past? And then it's clear whenever they get to the morgue and he's like, did you ever have second thoughts about us? And she's like, bitch, no, I remember you were an asshole. Yeah. And then Quinn wakes up in the right there and he's just like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Very much animated monster.
Yeah.
Very much.
It was pretty creepy. Like, and when they were cutting into him.
Oh yeah.
Like the crunching of the flesh and it like flaking off. I was like, damn, this is pretty good.
You ever go to a barbecue, or you ever barbecued and like they do the
like chicken
on the grill and it gets all black and that's what you're peeling off? That's what it gave.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, ooh, that's gross. Glad I don't eat meat. But yeah, so he wakes up, he eats Curtis, or takes a big old chunk out of him.
Gives him a good bite.
And then runs after Karen. And thankfully Blade has come back in to be like, I came to finish you off. And
but not before he can bite Miss Karen.
Yeah, he does get a nice bite on Karen. And Blade's like, well, I guess I better save her. And then the cops show up
cops again.
And they start shooting at him. And I love how he turns around. He's like, motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind? And I was like, I love it.
And even the cop's like, oh shit, my bad.
Yeah. He's like, I'm the one trying to help you. I'm killing this monster and y'all are out here trying to kill me. Again, the police are in on it.
Yeah. He ends up getting Karen out of there just in the time, even though they're shooting at them and like they could have hit her.
I know. I was like, they, especially at one point after he eats her off the building.
Yeah.
Through the window onto the other building. Yeah. And he picks her up and they're walking side by side and they're shooting. I'm like, that should have hit one of them at least.
That door gets like, they get the special guns and then just start blowing clean through the door.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was surprised that she wasn't shot. But again, movie magic. Or they're all just really, really bad shots. None of them have had any training.
Probably. Needs to be updated. And so yeah, they end up getting away, thankfully. Also, though, him throwing her from that one building to the other building without any like because when she landed too, she just like
kept rolling. Yeah. And that's why she was like, my shoulder, it's dislocated. She was like remarkably calm through all of it too.
Yeah,
like
she really was.
Cooler heads prevailed. Like she was doing a good job because she was just like, yeah, cooler heads have prevailed.
I've never heard that.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I like it. No, I like it. Cooler heads have prevailed. Okay, cute. Okay, continue.
But yeah, I think I might have used it wrong, but oh well. She gets up and she's like, my shoulder, it's dislocated. And he's just like, yank. And she's like, ah. And then she's over it. And I was like, damn, I could never be so chill. I would be like,
screaming my head off, crying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they are able to escape. He gets her back to Whistler's lair, Whistler's lair.
Yeah. I love how Whistler's like, you brought him astray.
Yeah. And he was like, she's been bit. And he was like, and you didn't kill her?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I couldn't.
Funny. No.
He loved her.
He loved her from the moment he saw her. I think really too, like I don't know. At points I felt like maybe because like she reminded him of his mom. I kind of got elements of that. I don't know. Or it was like just at least if anything, like it was a feminine figure that was like he felt drawn to, and then she actually was then being nice to him and lovely to him. So
Yeah. No, I agree. But basically they're trying to stop the transformation. So they inject her with garlic, essentially. They had a nicer, fancy like terminology for it, but it was garlic in the end. And Whistler's like, if she doesn't like stay human, you got to kill her.
Yeah.
If she ends up changing, you got to finish her off.
It's your responsibility to put her out.
Yeah. And so they like watch over her for a little bit. They put her in to a little like into Blade's room, I guess. And then this is where we basically like kind of learn that Blade uses like silver to kill the vampires and garlic, and so like some things work, but like crosses and holy water don't.
Yeah.
But like
very much cutting through all like the mythos of what we, the audience, would know and think of, like what we associate with vampires and killing vampires.
Yeah, and not like a wooden stake, but a silver stake. It has to be silver, and garlic. They will go into anaphylactic shock if they come into contact with garlic, which that really sucks. Garlic's like my favorite thing. I pour that shit on everything.
You wouldn't be able to have it, boo.
I would be sad.
You would give up your life for garlic. That's how you would want to go out, like one time for the one time.
Just
like
eating
when you're like a
massive
98-year-old
load of garlic bread.
JK, because vampires, like you would be like, when on your like 1000th year, you're like, I'm over it, I'm done. Yeah, and just make yourself some pasta with garlic bread and shit.
Yeah, and eat it. Oh, I want garlic bread now. But yep, and so then we're with the meeting of the vampires. It was like a big fancy meeting hall.
Very what's table. The Twilight vampires, the Valkyrie or something?
Yeah.
The Volturi.
Yeah. Cunty Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know why it was in my head.
I love it.
The name of my next band.
I love it. But yeah, so they're in their meeting and they're basically shitting on this guy named Frost or Deacon.
Deacon
and
Frost.
Because he like they end up calling him in, and basically Frost is like Akasha / Lestat, or how Lestat is for a little bit, calling back to the last episode we did. But he's basically saying we should be the ruler of humans. They are our food. And they're all like, no, discretion is key. Like, we can't be in the light kind of thing. And Deacon is like, no, like, we should be able to walk amongst humans and like eat them, basically.
Yeah.
That we're their gods.
Yeah. Deacon is very much like the new Jinn, and they're the old Jinn. And he's like, wants to shake it up. You know, he very much wants to, like you said, he has like an ego complex too, where he just thinks he's better. Because and it's really, and it gets pointed at a lot too in the movie too. The fact that he wasn't even like a natural born vampire. He's like been made into a vampire. He was a human before. So it's just kind of like,
he's not a pure blood.
It's almost as if like they try to like little man syndrome or like little dick syndrome, or like he has a complex about it in a way where it's like, since he was human, it's almost like he's disgusted that he was human at one point. He just wants to eradicate them.
Yeah. And he's like, I need to be the head honcho, the top, and humans are nothing but cattle, as he later says. And then we're basically back with Whistler and Blade, and we find out that there's some sort of serum that Blade has been taking, and he is building up a resistance to said serum. He stops by like a shop, like it seems like a metaphysical shop or something like that had a bunch of like essence of garlic, and then had this serum that helped Blade. And he paid him in like watches.
Yeah.
which was
gold, I guess, maybe.
interesting. Yeah.
Jewelry, maybe he could pawn it, or
Well, later on, remember he like gets that
he's
one
looking at.
guy and he's like, "It's fake," and throws it.
Can't do anything with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who
So
knows? But maybe because he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have a way of making money,
yeah, he just
right? He doesn't
steals
have a
and
job, and technically, these are
like
all
he
coming
says,
from like
we're
dead
not the Martha
vampires.
Dimes.
Yeah, exactly. And like they're all from like mostly bad guys. So it's not, to me, I don't really necessarily see that as stealing. So
Yeah.
he's just kind of like, yeah, like that's his way of getting something
It's
that's
like
worth
Robin Hood,
money.
still
Yeah,
from the mean to
to
help
get
the
to
poor.
give to the poor. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
so
he's the poor himself, so
mhm,
he helps himself.
about to
Um,
say, didn't
but
Robin Hood do that at some point too? But yes,
yeah, I mean,
he
Robin Hood does help himself and his little tribe of merry
Merriman.
men.
Yeah. And so then we're back with the doctor because she wakes up, right? And
Yes.
he's back at the headquarters, the HQ, and he's talking to Whistler, and that's when we get like she's eavesdropping on them, and that's when Whistler's like, "Oh, she's a hematologist."
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
she's found all the weapons and stuff
Oh
too
yeah,
in
yeah.
Blade's room. So she's
The sword,
already, yeah, the sword, and we see that like
foreshadowing.
she touches it and then it starts like clicking and ticking, and then
Yeah,
all of a sudden like silver blades shoot out of the handle. So I guess
scally.
anyone who's not Blade gets killed
Their
by it.
hand chopped off. Yeah.
Yeah. And um so she sees all that, then she goes down, yeah, she's eavesdropping on them. We see Blade getting injected with the serum, and
Mm-hmm.
it looks hella painful. Wesley
It
Snipes did a
does.
great job of reacting like he was in like the most immense pain.
For a big guy.
Yeah, like he was having
Mm-hmm.
a very visceral reaction,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like,
Even
damn.
Whistler like holding his hand
Yeah,
in
like
solidarity.
both of
Yeah.
their grips were so strong.
Yeah.
But that was really cool. And then basically they find Karen,
Yeah, 'cause they hear
and
her. They
yeah,
see
and
her.
so he's like, Whistler's like, you've been exposed to them one way or another, they're gonna find you. Or maybe Blade says that, but Whistler's explaining like the hominis nocturna, which is I guess the like literally translates to like human night
Mm-hmm.
nocturnal person, so a night walker essentially.
Mm-hmm.
um and he is it kind of explaining it to Karen, and
Mm-hmm.
then gives her some vampire mace, which is made with silver and garlic, which comes in handy later.
Mm-hmm.
um and then he tells her if she starts changing that she needs to end her life.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, and get a gun.
That's a heavy pill to swallow.
Yeah, it is. He was like,
Her
it's
life.
better than the alternative. And it's
Yeah.
like, bitch, that's up to me to decide.
For real. Well, and also her life like changed within a matter of like not even 24 hours already, or I don't know how long she's been out, to be honest. It could have been she'd been asleep for a day or two, but um
But yeah, I mean,
mhm.
it's a relatively short time to like find out that you might have to die.
And do it yourself at that.
Yeah, exactly. I
And
wouldn't be able to do it. Um,
mhm. And so we have her then, and Blade's like, just Blade's kind of like just let her go, like let her leave. And she ends up leaving. And that's whenever she ends up, oh, and he also mentioned to her that like they're everywhere. So like they're uh,
your neighbor,
your
your
neighbor. Mhm.
milkman.
And this comes into play because when she's walking to the apartment that she lives at, like their neighbors, which also I think they were vampires. They just
Yeah,
didn't.
they were marked on their
They
neck.
were marked. Yeah, they just didn't come up to her, I guess, or they were like psyching her out. I don't know, or maybe this
Yeah.
ex staying far behind while the cop guy was going to pull them out. But she gets to her apartment, and she goes in, and there is after she kind of like settles around and stuff, there's a cop that lets himself in, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Actually, I'm here to just check on you." but then it
Yeah, he's
escalates
like,
very
"You're
quickly.
Karen, blah blah blah," right?
Hmm.
And she's like, "Yes."
Oh, and
And
he tells her that what's his face died,
yeah,
Curtis.
Curtis is dead.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, her house is super cute, by the way, too.
Hmm.
But before that, too, we also had a little interaction with Frost and Gitano,
Oh my god, yeah.
with their
He's trying to download the dead
translate,
language. Yeah.
yeah, the ancient language.
Hmm.
And to me, I was like, it looks like it's being translated just fine.
Yeah.
uh on that computer screen, like it was all because Gitano was like, don't worry about that, it's a dead language, you'll never be able to translate it.
Yeah.
And like on the computer screen it was like clearly spewing out a translation, and I
Yeah.
was just like
Well, I think what it does give is that like Gitano had been in charge, I guess, for such a long time, and they had been doing things for such a long time in the same way that they also maybe didn't get up on like the newest software update of whatever thing, like the latest app. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like even us as like millennials, like, and by the way, we're like on the very cusp of being we're almost Gen Zers. Like we're just like tears off
yeah,
from the mark. But there are sometimes now where like even like whatever people like my nephew or niece will bring something up. I'm like, what's that? Like I feel outdated. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that's
oh
how
yeah,
fast technology moves. So yeah, maybe like there's just I don't know. Also, I
they're
guess
just behind
that
it.
yeah, well, I guess also they weren't overzealous in trying to take over the world.
Yeah, they weren't like trying to become
Trying to
gods.
contact a evil demonic
Blood
vampire
god.
god. Yeah, blood god.
Yeah,
Which is crazy.
it was a pretty
Yeah.
cool concept for a film.
But
And
also though,
or I
Frost is
guess,
so overzealous that like what would even happen? Because if you think about it, if everybody becomes vampires, what do they drink? Each
yeah,
other? Like what? Where all you know what I mean?
then they just die.
Yeah. They just end up dying out eventually. Pretty fast because vampires are pretty bloodthirsty.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
But
Not really thinking
continues.
things through. But
Hmm.
anyways, we're back in her house. It's cute.
Hmm.
Blade shows up right on time, and
Right in time.
he's like because she
This
tries
is
to use the vampire mace on him,
hmm
and he's like, what the hell is
inhuman.
this, garlic?
Yeah.
And she was like, he said it would work on vampires, and he was like, I'm not a vampire.
You dumb
And
bitch.
you dumb
And then
bitch.
yeah, and then thankfully Blade comes in to kick his ass and explains to her that he's a familiar,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically a human who is basically owned, kind of like a slave, by the vampires, like is in duty to them, indebted to them, either because are indebted to them in some way, I don't know, owe them a favor, or because they are been promised to be transformed at some point into a vampire.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because if he's loyal enough, his master will change him.
Yeah.
Blade is wrecking her house in the process as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then he pulls back his collar and sees that he's been marked by Deacon Frost.
Hmm.
And so, and then she's like, we can tell that we saw those same or similar, like hieroglyphic kind of lettering on the back of
Hmm.
those two individuals who were in the elevator as well. Um, and so that's when we were like, oh, this is some sort of vampire mark.
It's a cult.
It is a cult. Call your dad.
Just like the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But and so we have
What that one lady say to you that one time, your alphabet thing?
Yeah, the
That's
alphabet
funny.
thing, literally in your alphabet thing.
Yeah.
Uh this and so then after they end up getting oh yeah, because then they take him to the car outside. Blade is trying to ask him some questions, but he's being very manhandly, and then he ends up getting away. I don't remember why. Something
Yeah.
happens. Something distracts him. Something
Well,
happens.
basically, Karen's trying to say, like, stop.
Yeah,
It's
like you're being
enough.
too rough with him.
Yeah. And in that instance, he takes that and runs with it, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets away, and then basically he's explaining to Karen, he's like, the world you're living in is sugar coated, but there's another world existing beneath it, the real world. And if you want to survive it, you better learn how to pull the trigger.
Yep. And the movie ends.
Yep, that's it. No. But then they end up going on a stakeout. And so they're waiting for the cop to come back in Blade's car. And she's like, he's not that stupid. And he was like, once you know one, you know them all.
He's like, hey, come back. He's going to come back.
Yeah. And then sure enough, he comes running back. And so Blade's following him. And then the graphics in the car here were a little silly. The car chase.
There are a few moments in the movie where graphics were a bit funky.
Yeah. But I still liked it.
Oh, yeah. A lot of them still held up. A lot of the like fighting and all that kind of stuff is just more like the special effects stuff did definitely seem outdated.
Like when the skeletons were popping forth from the
from the
pure blood's mouth.
Yes, or whenever Deacon Frost started to like move fast, or the dysmorphing whenever the guys and the girl
with the anticoagulant.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically they follow him to this place and they get out of the car. And I love the line where she was like, those are all vampires. And he was like, there are worse things out tonight than vampires. And she's like what? And he's like me. Chink. Puts the sword in his back. And I was like, hell yeah, motherfucker. That's right. I loved it.
And then he's explaining he ends up taking her and they go into the club. And I love how he's just walking in, swords just like in the back of his thing, looking like a badass. Everybody's just kind of like, oh shit, who's this? Even though I'm pretty sure they kind of know who he is. Because it was like, I don't know, it gave like they weren't all vamps, but they were, but I don't know, honestly.
Regardless, they all worked for Deacon.
Yes. And but then ends up,
some of them might have been like familiar situations.
And he finds Deacon in there and he follows him into the kitchen area and he's asking him where like the secret entrance to wherever he needs to go is. And Deacon points out to him that after some manhandling that it's behind the fridge, the walk-in. And so we open, this is such a cool walk-in. We open the door to the walk-in and it goes and leads down to a whole totally separate area.
Yep. And I also love the line he said, you tell him it's open season on all suckheads.
Very much so.
Suckheads.
The movie had a lot of one-liners.
It did. But so Deacon runs and the cop runs to find Deacon. And Deacon's basically like, whatever.
Yeah. He's just
bites him, kills him. And puts him into the pool. And then he turns around and he's like, I want Blade alive.
To Quinn.
To Quinn, yeah. And Quinn's like, what the fuck, dude? You want him alive? And he's like, yeah.
Because he's like, we've been trying to kill this motherfucker for like the past forever. And he's like, nope, I need him alive. And Quinn is being a little bitch. But then we cut to Blade and Miss Karen finding and going to... they go down and follow the stairs and come to like this record keeping area where we saw Frost earlier in the movie trying to decode the stuff on the computer, but in a separate area. And we meet Pearl.
Yes, we do meet Pearl. And Pearl is there. And basically they are torturing Pearl to get information out of him.
Yeah, it's a guy because he mentions even though growing up and because of the name Pearl, I always thought it was a woman.
Yeah,
and because the name and the voice is a bit more higher pitched,
feminine.
Yeah.
But anyways, they are like they have this UV gun ray thing that will burn vampires. And so every time that Pearl doesn't give up information that Blade wants, then Karen flips on that switch and just like bakes Pearl like a little crispy
marshmallow for s'mores.
marshmallow. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked whenever Blade is like going to open the door, and then Karen's just blasting Pearl, and then he comes back like, what the fuck? And she's like, he moved.
Yeah.
You told me to blast him if he moved.
It's so good. No, and it's also because, I mean, I don't know. She's also recently just been bitten by vampires. Her whole life has been like disturbed by vampires. She might be a little hot behind the trigger. Yeah. Uh-huh. And he ends up putting this like blasting foam putty on the door. And
yeah, it was pretty cool.
The door blows off its hinges. He's able to get in. This is where we see that the computer is there, and he looks at the language and stuff that Deacon was trying to decode, and also the Book of Erebus, right? This is when we get him telling us about the Book of Erebus,
which is basically the vampire Bible.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Pearl doesn't Pearl mention to them the plan? Like Pearl is like, he wants to unleash La Magra.
Yeah.
And because he's a blood god and he wants to take over the world, essentially.
Exactly. And then at this point, basically the other guys have caught notice that Pearl is under attack. Or they made it like, because Karen. Deacon was there on the computer at first with Pearl, but now Quinn and his guys have made it down to where they are, and they're coming to beat him up. And so then
they like ambush them.
Yeah, they ambush them, and they're trying to get out of there.
They like trap him. They end up trapping Blade.
And he stabs him with silver, pins him up just like Blade did to Quinn. And he's like, I owe you two, actually. And then Blade just starts going like, ha 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 ha.
Tee
hee.
Blade's like a silly like Blade knows that he's cunty. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And because we have what we didn't know is that Whistler had been listening the whole time.
And he's like, I'm expecting company.
And Whistler just like blasts through the fucking door.
Yeah, he does. The whole wall is like gone.
With the truck.
And he gets them out. But then this fight ensues in the train tunnel area thing. And they're like fighting, and Whistler gets like knocked down into like the track or something, or it happened so fast that I was like, I'm not really exactly sure what happened to Whistler. I just know that
into the track, and then he ended up being able, because Karen quickly sees him later being able to
going into the manhole thing. Okay, I was like, I guess he is okay. Because Blade was just like, he can take care of himself. Because Karen was like, oh my God, Whistler. And Blade was like, it's fine, bitch.
This ain't our first rodeo.
Yeah. And so then basically they're fighting. Does he chop off another one of Quinn's arms?
Yes.
Chops off another one of Quinn's arms, and then smashes his face into the train going by and like rips off his skin. It was pretty cool.
Quinn is just like freaking out and then runs off.
Yeah, he runs
all freaked out, and then that's whenever we have them. Then
they hop on the back of the train.
That's right. And she's like, "Oh my God, what are you gonna do?" And he grabs it, and they go whoosh, outrunning all the vampires that are coming after them. And then we go back to HQ, I believe, because then Whisker's like explaining to Karen Blade's story.
Yeah, and and then she had also asked him, "You're one of them, aren't you?" And he was like, "No, I'm something else." So that prompts Whistler to then explain that he found him when he was 13, feeding on the homeless, and then saying that he can withstand garlic silver and sunlight, has their strength and ability to heal, but ages like a human. However, that his body is starting to reject the serum that's controlling his thirst,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Yeah. And then a lot of this time too, while Whistler did, my phone kept wanting to correct it to Whiskers.
Whiskers.
But Whistler, while he did take him under his wing, and then he became this vampire slayer or whatever. He's been looking for the vampire who has killed, or who he thinks killed his mom. Bit his mom and killed his mom.
Exactly.
So that's also a lot of the motivation behind what he does as well, which does play into the film here soon.
Exactly.
But we end up then cutting to Deacon with his little gang, motorcycle gang, as they take Hitano to the beach. They're taking him out, and it's before the sun rises, so you can tell already that they're about to execute him with the sun. But they take his teeth, and
his little canines out.
Hitano is just basically you're a fool, you're so dumb, you're naive, you don't know anything. And then Deacon is just basically well, you know what, it's time for me to have a turn at ruling and doing it the way we should do it. And yeah, they just let that sun crisp him up.
Yeah, and the little stop motion kind of way that his body was going up in flames was really cool.
Yeah,
in my opinion, I thought it still. I mean, I could see how someone would think that maybe didn't age super well, but in my opinion, I thought it was still perfectly fine. I thought it looked cool.
It looked like a what's the word? Never mind. I'll think about it later. But yes, and how they just put on their little helmets and they're just and just watch them just burn.
Watch them go up, and then he explodes, and they're like,
"Oh yeah, yeah." I was also though kind of because even before they had put their little things on, maybe they were covered enough. I guess that's what it was. Because Hitano was you can already tell before the sun had even fully come up, he was starting to sizzle.
Yeah.
But nothing was happening to them. And for a second, I thought, oh, wait, is because they're they were
vampires, they can walk in the light.
Yeah, I was huh. But then I realized
I got really confused when Deacon later is out in the middle of the day, and then
with the little girl.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's just
sunblock. And I was like, really? That's it? He just put on some sunblock and now he's fine?
I didn't get it either. Yeah.
That part I was a little what the fuck?
Logic. Yeah. But yes, Hitano is dead. We're back at the we're back at the meeting place HQ for the baddie vampires, and then he's drops the teeth on the table and he's like, I'm in charge now.
Yeah. And then we're also, after that, he says that, and then we kind of just flash back to Whistler's and little HQ.
Because Karen's trying to come up with a cure for herself, and she came up. This is where she was oh, I didn't come up with the cure, but I made this thing that accidentally blows them up.
Yeah, she was it's an anticoagulant. She had some sort of abbreviation for it. It was ESTA or something.
Anticoagulant.
Anticoagulant. Spell that in a. Can you please use that in a sentence? But they use the anticoagulant, and she puts it on the vampire blood, and she's like, "Watch out! The reaction is energetic." And you think it would just be a little sizzle or something, but no, it fucking explodes. And I was energetic, girl.
Yeah.
Warn him that it was gonna explode in his face.
Very much that. And then and then as they're communicating and talking and everything's going on, we get a little vulnerability from Whistler, and he reveals that he has cancer.
Yeah, because he
just drops that bomb.
He's coughing, and she was is he sick? And Blade's cancer.
Yeah.
And then we find out that she's still changing as well. And this is where we get Deacon out in the light. After this conversation. Blade runs into Deacon, and Deacon's like just standing there. He's got this little girl held hostage. So he's like, don't shoot me or I will kill this little girl.
Yeah.
And then Blade just says sunblock. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
That's it.
But basically Deacon's inviting Blade to join them, saying that he's needs his blood and that he's gonna call La Magra, the blood god. And Blade's basically just like, no, thank you.
Yeah, and I love how Deacon was also just like, you know what? Yeah, here's my plan. This is my big evil plan. This is exactly what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Like it's like in Phineas and Ferb with Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz, yeah.
Every time he's like, this is my evil plan. And so it's like that. I feel like they always have to explain their evil plan.
It's true. And we end up having him throwing the little girl and so Blade goes to obviously save the little girl, so Deacon's able to get away.
But not after trying to shoot Deacon first. At first I was like, oh God, this little girl's gonna die. Especially like when you saw the big old 18-wheeler coming up behind her. I was like, oh no. And then
she's gonna be traumatized.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean I would be.
Unless she's able to just bury it so far deep.
Yeah, which is not good. Don't bury your trauma, you guys. You should talk about it when you're ready, though.
When you're ready.
Yeah, don't rush it. And but
this
he
episode has been brought to you by BetterHelp.
BetterHelp. But he saves the little girl. And then at this point, this is where they all show up at Whistler's lair. Yeah. And they come in and they just start unleashing hell on them. They capture Karen, they shoot Whistler in the leg, and then Deacon just starts beating the shit out of him, like stomping on his face. And then he tells Quinn, do your thing. And Quinn, I guess, continues to beat him up. And then they leave him basically for dead. And they make a little video in the meantime, just, record themselves talking about where to meet Blade later on. And so then Blade shows up and he's like, what the hell's going on? Sees another vampire that was laying dead, checks the neck, sees that it has Deacon's logo on it. And he basically then finds Whistler and he's like, oh God, he pulls the sheet off without even looking. And I was like, damn, they killed him. And then he was like, Frost took Karen. And I was like, oh shit, he's not dead.
Yeah. It's even worse.
I know. Yeah. He's just been suffering.
Yeah. Well, and then, he explains to them how he took Karen. And then he's like, give me the gun because I need to kill myself. And then Blade's like, no, you can't. And then he's like, give me the goddamn gun, son.
Yeah. And he basically tells him that Frost is trying to trigger a vampire apocalypse. And he's like, you're the key. He needs your blood. You're the chosen one. So, you can't go meet Frost. Is basically
stay away from him. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if he gets you, it's all over. And, but then, then he's like, give me the gun. And he says no at first. And then finally he agrees. And he's like, now walk away, you stupid son of a bitch. Walk the fuck away.
Get out of here.
Then you see Blade walking off and then you hear a gunshot and you can assume that Whistler is dead now.
Yeah. And so, then we cut to Frost then talking to Karen because he's got Karen in his custody and he's talking to her about the La Magra and explaining to her about his plan. And at this point too, when I was listening to him, it's so funny because a lot of the times in this movie, I mean, I guess not until the ending when he kind of becomes an actual threat because he has like a blood god in him. Like Frost, like I didn't understand why at no point a lot of like people didn't just like shoot this guy's head off or just like
Yeah.
kill him because he is just a bunch of hot air. Like he was so annoying and like gave that like over entitled kind of like my daddy owns the company vibes like situation. I also didn't understand how he was in like the gang with all those other older vampire dudes, like the
Head
council.
honchos,
Yeah,
like why
because
he was allowed in and stuff.
yeah,
I guess because he has so much power over all the other vampires.
the New York gays.
Yeah.
I mean, vampires.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's why he was allowed in on their meetings is because he just wielded so much power. But yeah. And then we also get this montage of Blade like making more silver bullets and basically disobeying Whistler's last wish and going after him.
Oh yeah.
And then there was that plant that was, they showed this plant like multiple times. And then at the end of this montage, Blade cuts the like roots off the plant. And I'm like, what is the significance of that plant?
I don't honestly even remember the plant. I don't.
Oh, they show it like 3 or 4 times and then they make a big deal of him picking up the thing and then chopping off the roots of it. I don't know.
Maybe it was to help with the serum.
Yeah. I'm assuming it maybe, I don't know what a garlic plant looks like. Maybe it had garlic in it.
Maybe.
I have no clue. It was very colorful. It looked tropical. So
probably not garlic then.
Yeah, probably not. But I have no clue what it was. If anyone knows what the significance of that plant was, please let us know. But yeah, then they're talking about to Karen and he's like, she's like, I have a cure. And he's like, how are you going to cure the whole world after the blood god comes? Yeah. And
very much being a sassy little bitch.
He is, yeah.
And
I called him a brat earlier.
And she's and she's definitely hitting like pushing buttons too because she, sees the mark on his neck and is like, oh, so you're not even a pure one. You're like been turned. Like you're not even like a real vampire. Yeah. And she's like, you're no better than us. Like, yeah.
Play pushing on my buttons.
Very much that by the Pussycat Dolls. And so then we have,
is that the name of the song? I don't know, that doesn't matter.
Buttons. It's just called Buttons.
Okay. But yeah, then basically Blade comes in and obliterates Deacon's forces that are at the front lines. He was like, it's one man on foot, how can you not get him? And Blade like busts through the thing on a motorcycle. So that was pretty cool. He was like, ooh.
Kicking ass and taking names.
That's right. And he just like starts going through, getting closer and closer to like the middle layer and stuff. And this is where we get to see the anticoagulant in action for the first time when he meets those 2 individuals in the hallway and is fighting them. And then he shoots them with the anticoagulant and they just like start morphing into.
They look like blueberries. Raspberries.
Yeah. Like their skin was all bulbous and
wasn't there like an ad or like a promotional commercial where people used to they like, was it for Juicy Fruit or was it for something where it was like people turned into fruit and it was like that's what they looked like.
I think it was Juicy Fruit.
It was like something like that where like you ate it
when they had like the raspberry head
and you turn into that's what they looked like.
I can see that. Because it was like mainly where I guess it happened where he stabbed them, but like it happened on this girl's head. And so it was funny, but it was cool. And it definitely takes care of them. So certainly. It fucked him right up. But then he makes it to this like stark white lair chamber room. And we saw Deacon in there earlier and this woman get out of the bed and say like, come on, sweetie, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden she comes out again from this bed, and it's like, he's like, Mom. He doesn't say mom, but she's like, Eric.
But yeah.
And I'm like, how do you recognize your, I mean, I guess maybe she knew of him.
Maybe it was just that connection.
Yeah.
Maybe. But also, even when I was younger, this always felt weird. Even watching this now, this feels weird.
Oh, like, no, there was a part where I was like, why is she being so sexual with him?
Yeah. No, literally, like when she has him on the thing and everything, and she's like,
yeah, when he's like Han Soloed, like up to the wall, and she's like,
your mother isn't here anymore. Like she died a long time ago, or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, ew.
Well, a lot of times there were moments where it just felt like, why does it sound like she's trying to seduce him?
Yeah.
And like, but it's her son. It's weird.
It was really weird. I was like, I'm not a fan of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then Deacon basically busts in while Blade is unfocused.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Deacon is low-key his daddy. So that's weird. And then they lock him up in this room with Karen, and he's like, give me that serum. And she was like, if you get that serum, you're going to completely become human and lose all of your superpowers, basically.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, JK, I don't want that.
Can't do that shit. I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
That's lame.
It is.
And so yes. And so then as they're in there, we get to this place where Frost has been setting up like a venue for a ritual. And has it all like carved out of stone and everything. And he's brought all of the elder people who really
I think it's existed for a long time too.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I think he said they just didn't ever come down here. But he said,
I don't know why I gave it thought like he
built it.
He had it constructed or something. Yeah.
I think I could be wrong, but I think he said like,
you're usually right.
No, I think he said that it existed for a long time. But yeah, it's a pretty impressive building with all the stone and the like little, I don't know what to call them, but like their little markings. I feel like they called them hieroglyphs.
Yeah, I think they did too as well.
I guess hieroglyphs, but I don't know if I'm wrong. Sorry.
I think hieroglyphs are hieroglyphs. I don't think hieroglyphs are I think there are Egyptian hieroglyphs and other type of hieroglyphs. Right?
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
I think hieroglyph is a word for something that is a symbol that is associated for a word. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like when the symbol is a word. I don't know, because then like in Chinese and all that in Mandarin, like those are characters, right? They're not called.
Yeah, they're called characters.
I don't know anything. Don't listen to me, listeners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me
I have
neither.
literally no literally no credentials.
Smooth brain.
Literally koala brain. I have chlamydia. I'm just kidding.
Chlamydia.
Because koalas have chlamydia.
Oh, they do? I knew that.
Yeah, they have chlamydia. They can catch chlamydia. I'm not saying they all have chlamydia, but they can catch chlamydia. I think it's just because they lick each other's butts. I don't think it's like sex stuff. I think it's just because they lick each other's butts.
Gross. Cats do that too.
Yeah. Well, some humans do that too.
Yeah.
And so then we have.
I know that's my argument every time like the kitties give me kisses. I'm like,
yeah,
you lick.
It's okay, Caitlin. We know you like to lick people's butts. It's fine.
I love me a little butthole.
It's puckered up.
Puckered up. But so anyways, I wrote Quinn is so dumb. I can't.
The whole movie. He's annoying. Yeah. But I feel like that actor always played characters that were like that at that time. There was also this comedy show with two brothers. I don't remember what it was even, but he was on it. He was one of the brothers, and he just was always like kind of like dumb, goofy, like not serious in life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just kind of annoying. But we end up Blade's mom's a fucking bitch, and she puts him in a coffin type of thing to like drain him of all his blood and energy because she's team Deacon. She's Deacon's woman.
Yeah.
And then
Deacon took me
also
into his arms.
right before this too, my bad, we had Karen get dropped into a den type of thing chamber with Curtis because we thought Curtis was dead, but he's not, because apparently sometimes humans get bitten and they don't necessarily turn into vampires. They turn into these like weird in between monster things that are just like feral.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's beating the shit out of him and climbing out. Thankfully. So she gets a little bit of like, I don't want to call it revenge, but she's like, die, motherfucker.
Yeah. Then it's such a badass and it's strong and like climbs her way out. Like,
oh yeah. And like shimmies up the wall. Pretty cool. We also got the line that said, I promise you'll be dead by dawn. And that made me think of Evil Dead. Dead by dawn. Dead by dawn.
Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Oh, sorry, wrong.
Yeah. That was that made me so mad.
Annoying. Every goddamn 5 minutes. Evil dies tonight.
The first time it was okay, and then every time after that I was like, please God, stop. But for those of y'all who don't know, we're talking about Halloween.
The 20
Evil Dies Tonight.
21, right? 2021. That's when it came out, I believe. Yeah.
Is it called
Halloween
Evil
Kills?
Kills?
Halloween Kills. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other movie we were talking about was
Evil
I
Dead.
don't remember. Evil Dead. Yeah, because that's how fast my mind.
I don't remember which Evil Dead, but I just know that
Dead by Dawn. Dead by Dawn. I think it's the OG.
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty sure it's the OG. Yeah. And so then we have.
Oh, is Mike coming in to tell us what Evil Dead it was?
Maybe not. Maybe we got it though. Anyways, we get his blood getting drained. It's going into the chamber of secrets, don't you, Kate? But the chamber that is like putting his blood, and it's falling onto all the elders that are being lined up so aggressively into their spots because that one blonde bitch is like, "Come on, you motherfuckers!
You fucks!
You fucks! Get into your spots!"
Yeah,
and we have them getting the blood of Blade, blood of Cross dropped on them. And I think this is whenever this when Karen gets up to Blade's tomb, right? And it's like enough blood has been able to spill out on them, so like the shit is happening. It's too late, but she ends up being able to open it, and he just kind of falls out, slams on the fucking ground. Face first.
Like, yeah, I know, it looked so painful. And she's like, basically, you're dying of blood loss. You need to drink some of my blood to help. And it was so sexual.
I understand because men make these movies, right? But like,
Dead by Dawn is Evil Dead 2.
It's Evil Dead 2. Thank you. But like, yeah, man, she's just getting her blood sucked. And you know what? I will admit though, I've been kissed on the neck before, and I make the same place. So I can't imagine getting blood sucked out.
Don't stop.
Maybe we're doing it all wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it was like that in Queen of the Damned too. Yeah. Like it was a highly sensual moment that was happening. So
it could be sensual. You know, honestly, we don't know what the transfusion between two individuals and blood could mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never done it. So
we can't knock it till we try it.
Can't knock it till you try it. So yeah, maybe it is like a really big like aphrodisiac turn on.
But he was drinking a lot of her blood.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
was going in.
You better stop.
I was thinking,
he kept saying, "Don't stop," and I was like, "No, he needs to. Mm-hmm. You're gonna die, bitch."
Yeah. Thankfully, he stops before he takes the one last drop and she dies forever, and he dies with her. JK. And then we have him then, I guess, getting... Oh, we cut back to Frost and all the shit happening downstairs. And it basically like a thunderstorm is starting to happen because of all the voodoo and magic shit. And
the
ritual.
like blood starts converging and dropping from the ceiling onto Deacon. And then also, sorry, going back just a little bit, we had a conversation with Deacon and Quinn was like, I'm going to be naughty. I'm going to be a naughty vampire god.
Yeah.
And I was like,
cringe.
What?
Cringe. He is very much that, like, where's my hug? Like, the friend of the hot guy that you really are not trying to be around, but he's just so annoying. And for some reason, the hot guy is like really best friends with him.
Yeah.
Like, ride or die best friends. And it's just like, he's gross.
Stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, the magic is happening, blood converging and dropping from the ceiling onto Deacon. Lightning is flowing through all of them as he, like, it's like coming down, a big lightning strike, like struck through the top of the building and then went down through each of the respective channels and then shoots into the heads of all the purebloods and then also Deacon. And then while all this is happening, we have Blade fighting off his own mother.
So sad.
Yeah, they're fighting, and Karen has like slipped out, and she's gonna go be a badass and fight off people too. And then she was like, then his mom was like, "You wouldn't hurt your own mother, would you?" And I was like, "Bitch, you're trying to kill him. Of course he's gonna hurt you."
You're a vampire. She's a vampire now. It don't matter. Yeah,
it don't matter. And then this is where we get the skeletons popping forth from the bodies, like skeleton bat winged creatures. Kind of reminds me of like the Avenged Sevenfold, like bat head with wings. And they're all flying forth and zooming around and like shooting through Deacon. And then at this moment, Blade kills his mom. Finally, he's like, "I have to set you free."
Die, bitch.
Yeah.
And she just like burns up. Very, very dramatic. Very, very sad, but not sad. But also, if you think about it, that is kind of sad because he was literally spent his whole life trying to like basically avenge her, only for her to like be like, "I'm gonna kill you."
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't even love you.
And be weird about it.
Too. Yeah. And I'm gonna try to fuck you.
I'm gonna try to fuck you, and then I'm gonna try to kill you, and you're my son.
Like that. Anyways, and so
it's like, what role are you playing here, lady?
Yeah. And so La Magra then finally I don't know, because all of the skeletons then go into him, and I guess that is the key, and the blood and everything. Like, he is now
got the souls and everything, and so the transformation is complete.
The chemical X is in there.
And now it's time for the final boss situation. And fucking, I loved it because earlier in the movie, Quinn was like, "Ooh, I got your shades, bruh." Like, being a total weirdo. That might have been why I wrote like, he's so dumb. And then Blade like fucking kicks him and knocks the shades off of him, and then he grabs him. He puts them on, and I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go!"
It's fucking awesome. Yeah, he's so like awesome. Super Blade.
Yeah, I was like, "This is pretty badass." And then they're just fighting each other, like both matching each other's energy. Like, they're having trouble. Neither one of them's really making any headway until like.
Well, and at the same time, he's like fighting off the henchmen too, right? And then because then the blonde bitch too, she tries to fight Karen, but then Karen just gets that fucking mace or garlic, and it finally comes in handy, and she sprays her in the mouth, and then the bitch.
I love because she was like, "I'm gonna get you," and she shoots her right in the mouth. I was like, "Hell yeah, Karen, good job."
And then that's when and then Blade and Frost are going at it. They're pretty much like equaled out. But then how does Frost soup up, or no? It's just like Blade at one point finally cuts off his arm, and then
Yeah.
he's just able to like regenerate it. Oh,
Yeah.
so cute, so fluff.
She wants to be a little baby.
Oh, she's so cute. I love how she she's cuddles.
Yeah, she loves her little forehead kisses.
Oh, so cute. And so yeah, Frost and Blade going at it. Frost regenerates his arm, and then it's like, oh shit, okay, might be dealing with an actual blood god here. Blade tries to fight him, but this is whenever Frost goes into like basically like I hustled you mode. Because he's like, let me show you what I can really do. And he starts like moving like all fast across the room. And then like Blade like even tries to cut him in half at one point, but Frost's body reattaches itself. And these are like the special effects where I was just like, oh, this is not aged that well.
Yeah.
But, okay, got it.
It was
it looks very video game-esque, like 2002 video game.
Yeah, that's how the driving reminded me of too. Like, you go down here now.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, the driving like reminded me of a video game and stuff. And especially like with the voiceover that was happening, like, I've been caught by Blade. Stop. No, don't mess up the computer.
She said, you're done. And so yes, but all in all, very epic fight, very cool scene. Thankfully, Blade is able to get his serums from earlier in the film that got thrown over by Deacon himself. So it's funny that Deacon himself was his legit downfall.
Yeah.
He's the one who threw them. And so then Blade is able to get his serums, throws them onto Deacon. And I guess just because there's so many of them, Deacon is then like blows the fuck up. And that's what takes care of defeating a blood god, is blowing up the host. Yeah,
a bunch of anticoagulants. I love how he roundhouse kicked one into his head, and then that was like the final thing that made him explode. And he also had the line, "Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill," and I was like, "What?"
Wesley Snipes, whatchamacallit? That was him. Yep.
Nice.
Well, he said that earlier in like production about the character of Deacon, and the writers liked it so much that they wanted to like
add it in. Nice. I like it. And then then basically they get out of there, him and Karen, and she's like, I have the cure. And he was like, you keep your cure. There's still a war going on and I have a job to do. And he was like, so just make me a better serum.
Yeah.
And
couldn't she just make the better cure?
Yeah, that doesn't take away his superpowers and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Or like to where he doesn't need to like
You okay?
I choked on my spit. Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst.
So where he doesn't need to suck blood anymore or have that bloodthirst. Yeah. But still keep everything else. Yeah. I guess that's the serum, but that's a quick fix, not a forever fix.
Yeah, exactly. And then basically we're in Moscow. We shoot to Moscow. And this is where, again, the music, I was like, this is where it sounds like the Chamber of Secrets theme. Like, I finally wrote it down here at the end. Yes. Hello. Thank you. And then now Blade is in Russia fighting vampires. So we get him
international.
Yeah, fighting them all over the world. And then basically it just rolls credits after that. It's like, we're done.
And that is Blade.
Leaves it open for a second act. Which we do
get, which I like even more.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Isn't in one of the Blades, don't their mouths like come open? It's in two. I was expecting it to happen in this one, and because it's been so long since I've seen this movie, and then I was like, these vampires are remarkably ordinary as compared to what I remember, but that was all in Blade 2.
Yep. Blade 2, baby.
Yeah, I love Blade 2 as well.
Blade 2, they are experimenting within their own like race, whatever. And so it's kind of like this virus that this one elder, the vampire, wants to like put on the world, but he tested out on his son. Yeah, it's the whole thing. But and so yeah, it's a good one though.
Yeah,
Really
it
good.
is. We'll cover it someday.
We will.
But yeah, that is 1998's Blade.
Bladiana.
Bladiana.
I'm gonna give it a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 5. A 5 in terms of overall aesthetic, coolness, vampires, Blade himself, all the actors, the effects, minus some of the special effects, especially towards the end. But like also you can't necessarily knock it because I feel like it's also just a product of its time.
Yeah.
So, like,
and during the
could
time, it was pretty
done?
good.
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
it being really good.
Yeah. So, yeah, to me, it gets a 5. It might be a little biased and nostalgic, but I feel very 5. Like, I feel like it merits a 5 in terms of, horror. I would say like it's not necessarily like a horror movie, right? But it definitely does tie into elements of like vampires and supernatural and like the horror of like what if there were vampires? Like that's crazy because like they're everywhere and you could be actually I want to be a vampire. So like if you're a vampire, bite me. But like
Same.
they could bite you and then like what? Living forever? Opulence, like looking really cool. I don't have to go into. Well, actually, I really like the sun and doing things in the sun, so that might not work the best. I like to surf and be in the ocean.
Oh yeah. Maybe you could do it at night.
That's true. But yeah, I feel like it's a good enough. Also, I mean, there's a lot of source material there, I guess, because it was a comic book and all that. But it was a really well written out story. Frost at times kind of felt like weak as a villain, just annoying.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He kind of came through on his side at the end. You know,
yeah, once he was
getting
the
La
blood
Magra
god.
out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
he definitely became a lot cooler. And I was like, oh, damn. I was like, this is a pretty good matchup. Like, especially once he got chopped in half and then like his blood was like sucked him back together. I was like, that's pretty dope.
But overall 5. Do you have any fun facts for us, Miss Caitlin Klein?
I do. Let's see. When David S. Goyer first pitched the idea of doing a Blade movie, the executives of New Line felt there were only 3 actors who could possibly do the role: Wesley Snipes, Denzel Washington, and Lawrence Fishburne. But in Goyer's mind, Snipes was always the perfect choice for the character of Blade.
I agree. Good choice.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the other 2, honestly.
No. I mean, like maybe Denzel.
Nah.
But in like Wesley Snipes just did such a great job of it.
I can't unfortunately see Denzel being like Denzel is almost like too wholesome for me. Like not edgy enough, like not gritty enough, like in terms of like being able to like pull off the badassery of like kicking ass in that way. I mean, he is really badass because like he's badass in so many of his movies, right? And he always plays someone who is like taking butt and kicking names for the most part. But like in a more like smart way, like you know what I mean? Like he's more cerebral, I feel like almost. Denzel. And a lot of his character choices, whereas Blade's just like, I'm gonna chop you up, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. Let's see. The scene where Quinn attacks Karen in the hospital corridor features a lot of screaming, but they knew something was wrong when Logue started yelling too. So that's Quinn's character or actor. Yeah. During the tussle, he fell face first onto the hard floor and completely dislodged his jaw. He had broken it in an accident years prior, and opening his mouth too wide and too fast can unhinge it. They were filming in an abandoned hospital, but had to rush to a real one. And they were like, but I've got this guy who's dressed as a 3rd-degree burn victim, essentially naked, running with his jaw hanging down. The room cleared out pretty fast, it says.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. David S. Goyer explained in the DVD commentary that the scene where Karen touches Blade's sword was originally longer, as she went on to discover a weird hybrid infant of some kind floating in a tank. It came with a jump scare, and Goyer said, I think it would have scared the living shit out of the audience, but New Line felt it was just too horrible.
Interesting.
Yeah,
probably a good call.
Yeah.
On the infant thing.
Chris Christopherson's character Whistler was created for Blade's cameo on Spider-Man, the animated series. He was liked so much by Marvel CEO that he was adopted into the Marvel universe.
No, that's okay. Wow.
And then at around an hour and 45 minutes, while discussing the character of Deacon Frost, Wesley Snipes described him as the kind of guy who'd ice skate uphill. Stephen Norrington and David S. Goyer loved the phrase so much that they worked it into the film. Just like you said.
Bam! Mic drop.
You knew it. I think I would also probably give this movie a 5.
Oh, why? I'm just kidding.
Because it's so good and it's so nostalgic. And I mean, if I wanted to be like with the special effects and stuff, maybe a 4.5 or something. But I still thought most of them were pretty cool. And for their age and like the time that they did it in, I think it's really impressive. So yeah, I thought the acting was great on everyone's part.
Hello?
A lot of badassedness. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it just kind of glitched for a second. That was
weird.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's so real. It's just so good. And Wesley Snipes like absolutely killed it. He was awesome as Blade. And this film is just one that stuck with me from childhood, and it deserves all the accolades. We also do have our listener. I had asked Emma to give us some stop. Can you hear her scratching on the table?
Just a little bit.
Suki.
She's cute.
She's digging on the table. There's nothing there for you to get. She's so dumb. I'm just kidding. You're so smart. I love you. But I had asked Emma to give us some thoughts on the films that we were covering. And so she gave us one for Blade as well. And she says, I love this movie. Are some of the lines cheesy? Yes. Did the effects age well? Not necessarily. But it's such a fun ride that to me, it doesn't really matter. She said, I feel like they really nailed the pacing as well as the acting, which they did. The movie starts out like pretty fucking strong. Like it's action packed almost the whole way through. Like, and they still managed to weave the story in.
Like every 15, I would say like every 10 to 15 minutes, we're in another like action-y type of scene. And then it like kind of simmers down into like dialogue or character building. And then like another 10 minutes later, there's something else, there's some confrontation happening. So yeah.
It was really cool. I liked it. And then she goes on to say, obviously Wesley Snipes is iconic as Blade, and I love Chris Christopherson in pretty much anything. Christopherson, sorry.
Yeah.
You're good. And the blood effects leave a bit to be desired in 2024, and the dialogue isn't always the best, but I'm awfully tempted to give this 5 boos. It's a solid 4.5 if we want to be critical, but it's a 5 in my heart. So cute. I'm going to say that it's a 5.
I would say it's a 5 too.
Yeah. That we've got a solid 5 boos from your boobays.
And Emma.
Yeah.
So I think that's cute.
That's good. It's a good movie, y'all. If you've not seen Blade, what are you doing with your life?
It's not even that scary.
Oh no, it's not scary at all. It's more really, action packed.
Yeah.
Like maybe in Blade 2 when their jaws like unhinge and shit, that's is a little scary. Yeah. But this one, it's just a bunch of very much like Queen of the Damned. It's just them being like,
Now,
meow.
I love vampires though. They're so cool.
They are. I want to learn more about them.
If you're a vampire and you're listening, please write to us. Send
And
us
let
any
us know.
information. Let us know.
Does garlic really affect you?
If it needs to be like anonymous, we can do that. Or like, if you have to turn us into vampires after, like once you give us too much information, that's totally fine as well.
Yeah, we're both down for it. I can live in the dark.
You can bite me in my ass.
Right on the booty hole.
No. I want cute little bite marks on my booty cheek.
Cute little puncture wounds on your booty cheek. That would be cute.
But I don't know if they can get any blood from there. I don't know if it works the same. I think there are like certain areas, right? The neck, the wrist. I only ever see the neck, the wrist, and
sometimes the elbow pit.
The elbow pit?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think I've seen that before too. That's giving Twilight.
Yeah. I think maybe it did happen in Twilight.
I was like, where have you seen the elbow pit one?
I don't know, but I've seen it. I just don't remember where.
It's giving you're a secret vampire.
I am a secret vampire.
You just gave too much information away. But that is 1998's Blade. 5 solid boo rating from your boo bays. And yeah, we are continuing to be brought to you by Rogue Media Network Studios. They take good care of us. And if you want to listen to our podcast or any other slew of podcasts, because they have so many options for you to listen to, if you just want to go on their website at roguemedianetwork.com, you'll be able to see all the different podcasts that they have.
That's right. And then if you want to listen to us or any of those other podcasts, you can do so on all the major streaming platforms. The biggest two being
Spotify
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And if you want to tell your friends about us, spooky season, it's officially less than 100 days till Halloween.
Oh, wow.
So spooky season has basically started.
I really have to think about my costume.
I know. I've been trying to decide what I want to be for this year, and I can't. I did think it would be dope to go as Blade. While I was watching this, I was like, okay. I was like, do I have a leather trench coat? I have one, but it's snake print. So
Gucci Blade.
Gucci Blade. Yeah, I'll just be a little dolled up, dustied up.
A lot of people do that nowadays, though, too. Like a fusion type of costume.
I mean, I could be Blade without the leather trench coat and just like whenever he goes out with his big arms exposed. His arms were fucking massive.
Try to get you some like type of fake swords
to put behind my back. Yeah.
Or it's just one. He doesn't have two, right? It's just one.
Yeah, it's just one.
My bad, yeah.
And then have the like little serum pouch. Or the
I'm sure you can make something. Yeah.
Little blue Kool-Aid.
But they're like shots. It's like alcohol.
Yeah. And then you can be Karen.
Karen. No, does that sound like him?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what I want to be for Halloween, but I did think Blade would be easy. So maybe it's an idea that will
I always wait too long.
I work better under pressure. So
no. I end up doing shit. I don't really do anything.
Oh. Well, we'll work on it this year. We'll all hold you accountable.
Hold me accountable. Send me ideas. Oh my god. Oh, new poll rating. If you're listening to this episode, not a poll. If you are listening, please send to our DMs a submission, a picture, or just a few suggestions of what you think I should be dressed up as this Halloween. And whoever has the best one, I'll do it. And then there you go.
And then you win.
Yeah, you win.
You win the pride of knowing that you won.
That you influenced me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you want to reach out and let us know your thoughts on what Josh should be for Halloween, and me, because I also don't know. And then, or if you want to let us know your thoughts on Blade or Nosferatu or Dracula, you can reach out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram. And that is at
boobaes.com. And that's at BOOBAES, because we're your boobaes, not your boobabes. Did I say it wrong?
He said at boobays.com.
Oh, my bad. No, that's all wrong. That's all wrong, you guys. I'm sorry.
But you spelled it right.
Just a little out of practice today.
Yeah, we've not recorded in a hot second.
Yeah, but yes, you guys, I'm sorry. That is at BOOBAES, because we're your boobabes, not your boobays. I'm all messed up now. All right, I can't. We'll have to.
You know what it is at this.
You know
point.
what it is. Stop it. But even I like to hear it. So next time I'll get it right. But yeah. Anything else, Mrs. Klein?
That's me. Nope, I don't think so. I think until next time, you guys will be covering Nosferatu next.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be,
and then Dracula.
And then that'll get us through our vampire little chunk that we've been doing.
Or we could just do vampire the rest of the year. JK, no.
Just only vampires. Let's cover the Twilight movies.
Yes.
We got a new sticker at the store that's Edward, and it's like holographic. So his skin's really shiny and glittery.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. This is skin of Killer Bella.
Also, shout out to Love Lady. Go shop at Love Lady, you guys.
Yeah, that's my store. Woohoo! Well, I guess that's it.
Until next time, you guys.
Until next time, you guys.
Bye, bays.
Boobays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.